I, 27 female, got married a month ago. My dress was this long, lacy gown that my mom wore at her wedding. My mom passed away about 2 years ago. Because the dress was so important to me, I had a big plan to keep it safe from any damage. I would only wear the dress at the wedding itself and switch to a more casual dress for the reception. When wearing the dress, I wouldn't eat or drink anything except water, and I always stayed inside. I promise I'm not usually this crazy about cleanliness, but this was my mom's dress and the thought of it being damaged broke my heart. But I also knew I wanted to wear it when I'm married to have a piece of her with me. She adored this dress and always dreamed I would wear it. My bridesmaids knew very well about my particularities with the dress. I had a room above the venue where I was getting ready. My dress was hanging in a safe place in the room. On the wedding day, I went down to check on something for the wedding, leaving my bridesmaids in the room. Here's what happened as they told it to me. They opened a bottle of Pinot Noir, my favorite, as a celebration. They poured themselves glasses and began to walk around checking out the room. One of my bridesmaids, Anna, 27 female, wanted a closer look at my dress. She got close to it, and she started touching the lace. Somehow, her hand holding the wine glass slipped, and wine spilled all over the bottom of the dress. They told me what happened when I came upstairs and I started sobbing. My maid of honor called several professional cleaners, and they said that there was no way they could get the dress in before the wedding. They told us ways to save the dress until we could get it into them, so my maid of honor started doing that. After that call, I became furious. I asked Anna what was she doing holding red wine so close to my dress when she knew how careful I was being. She dismissed it and said it wasn't such a big deal because I was planning to wear the dress, so it could have been damaged that way too. I couldn't believe she said that. I called her thoughtless and careless and stupid. I told her that she was no longer part of the wedding and I wanted her to leave. She left and neither of us have reached out to the other. I got married in the dress I had planned to wear for the reception, and I was heartbroken not to wear my mom's dress. After the wedding, my bridesmaids joked that I was a bridezilla for kicking Anna out after she made an honest mistake. I don't think I'm the idiot or a bridezilla because Anna's reaction was so horrible and insincere, but I wanted to get the story off my chest and ask some people who might be more impartial. Am I the idiot? Why? Why would you wander around with a glass of wine next to a white wedding dress with such extreme sentimental value? I just can't. Couldn't they have waited? Couldn't they have waited to have wine? In my opinion, even if the dress wasn't sentimental because of your mom, the fact that it's your wedding dress automatically makes it VIP. It doesn't seem like Bridezilla or OTT to take precautions to avoid big, ugly stains on your wedding dress. And the fact that Anna didn't seem sorry makes me feel like she deserved to be kicked out. Even if they couldn't have waited for the wine, why are they running around the room with the glasses in hand? Are you telling me there wasn't a single table for them to put their glasses on? OP was lucky to have a spare dress, but what would someone do if they didn't have any? Marry in jeans and a baggy shirt? I hope my future wedding party will have enough senses in their brain not to mess with white stuff. Honey, I think you need new friends. This was not an accident. Anna did it on purpose, and the others covered for her. The fact that she wasn't apologetic at all is the biggest giveaway. If it were a real friend or even a decent person, they would have been bending over backward to make it right and apologizing with every other breath. It's interesting that it happened when the bride wasn't there. What was Anna doing? Bending over and tipping the glass with her? This was deliberate. How stupid are you to be close to an all-white wedding dress with red wine? She definitely did it on purpose. I would have made her pay for the cost of cleaning the dress. I agree with you. This is a ridiculously contrived accident. Anna intentionally threw the wine on the dress. Perhaps it was just a momentary spurt of spitefulness. Perhaps she's always secretly resented OP. In any case, she did this intentionally to prevent OP from wearing a dress that was important to her. Long story short, I, 29 female, brought my 3 kids to my mom's for the past week for a little mini vacation that my husband could not attend due to work. He was fine with kids visiting grandma while he stayed at home because he doesn't like my mom. So I left last Friday, and got back to our state this morning. When I walked through the door, the house was a pigsty. Dirty dishes everywhere but the sink, clothes everywhere, half-full soda cans strewn throughout the house. There were easily 8 soda cans, 4 bowls, silverware, plates, water glasses, and napkins on my desk and behind my husband's desk. On my porch, at least 12 beer cans piled up beside the returnable bin because his buddy Tyler came over Saturday to drink and never cleaned up. Multiple takeout boxes and bags in both the kitchen and bedroom. My husband was in playing video games with 2 open bags of chips beside him and like 5 cans of soda on his desk. He casually asked me how my trip was as I looked at the filth he created. It was spotless when I left because I grew up in a trashed home and had severe triggers for a messy house, so I always clean. Our youngest son said something about how dirty the place was, and my husband said, "Oh yeah, sorry, I haven't had time to clean." Yet he had time to play video games. So I left, took the kids to the beach. I can't do filth. I truly cannot do it. He knows this. He knew when I was coming home too, because I called him as soon as we got back to Austin. So he had roughly 2 hours to try cleaning up a bit and didn't. So anyway, I leave. He started sending texts asking why I left because he missed us. And I said I refused to come home to that much filth and that I found it over the top disrespectful that he would just leave it there, assuming I would pick it all up is my guess. He gets angry and says he's been at work and hasn't had time and wanted to spend some time relaxing on his video game before cleaning and sweating his butt off. I ignore it. He says I'm being controlling and over-obsessive and need to chill out because he'll get it done. So I texted him about an hour ago, after 4 hours of being gone, and asked if it was done. And he said no, that he had other stuff to do. So I booked a hotel and told him I won't be returning until it's finished. He's angry, saying he missed the kids and wants to see them now, but I'm keeping them from him because I can't deal with a bit of a mess. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The dude was living like a bachelor for a week. I would bet $1 million that he knew OP liked the house clean and was banking on her picking up after him. OP should tell her husband that she already has 3 kids and she doesn't want 4. After 4 hours of no kids and wifey, he still refused to clean up his filth? This shows me he sees his wife as a maid. He expects her to clean up after him and will find every excuse possible as to why he's allowed to live like a pig without cleaning and why it's apparently wifey's duty to be his domestic servant. Good for OP. I hope she never returns to the lazy idiot unless it's to kick him out of her kid's home. Or both. Kick him out and serve divorce papers. He probably told his friends, "Oh, just leave it there. Wifey will clean when she gets home." Please. OP, this is not the first time. You should probably sit down and talk with him. If he continues to brush you off, reconsider staying married to someone who believes he's still a bachelor. My wife, female 25, and I, female 25, got married at the end of 2019, and she quit her job in January 2020. Then global issue happened, so I wasn't pressuring her to return to work, but it's been over 2 years now, and I've talked to her a few times and she's promised to look for a job. Just to be clear, she's not depressed. She doesn't help with chores unless we argue about this. So, after working 40 to 50, all chores are on me. We don't have any kids or pets. She spends her day chatting with friends, watching reality TV, etc. We had a massive argument the other night, and she finally confessed that it was her dream to get married and not have to work, and that I am a gigantic idiot for not being supportive. I was furious. I'm not proud of it, but I was shouting, telling her that she's never told me that it's something we should have discussed before getting married, and she never said she plans on quitting her job. We're getting by financially, but just getting by. If she had even a part-time job, we would be much more comfortable, and I wouldn't have to take on so much, but she dismissed that as well. She told her friends about this, and they all ganged up on me, calling me an idiot and all sorts of names. I'm at a loss here. Am I the idiot for not supporting her and telling her that I didn't care about her dreams? LMAO, I also have a dream of money growing on trees. Her retirement plan was marriage, but she didn't tell you about it. Not the idiot. Dump the dead weight. She should have communicated this dream of hers before getting married, but it may just be a tactic to get you to feel bad for her doing nothing. Her getting all her friends to gang up on you is also not a good sign. I would consider this relationship and make some deep repairs if you still want to keep it. And tell her friends to chip in and pay her to stay home if they're so supportive of her dream. Wow, your wife. What a terrible bait and switch she pulled on you. So her goal in life is to be lazy and useless? That's just sad. Unless you want this to be your life, it's time to reconsider this marriage, seriously, before any kids enter the scene. A person that doesn't care that their partner is shouldering all the financial burden and stress in the relationship is a partner that doesn't really love the other. If you're independently wealthy or on the same page, that's one thing. But your wife is sitting there watching you drown and not even trying to throw you a life preserver. You have a serious problem right now. Good luck. A friend I went to college with, Shay, is pregnant. Shay is super into organics, holistic stuff, you know. She used to be in a climate crisis organization and volunteers for local eco groups, and she loves slow fashion. She's a first-time mom and planning to do the gentle parenting, natural products deal. Shay's baby shower was last week, and she had a registry, but everything on it was super expensive. I'm at a hard spot with money and Shay knows it, and I can't drop a ton of money on wooden toys and an organic stroller. I didn't want to be empty-handed though. So on the day of Shay's shower, I showed up with an Amazon gift card and some cool organic soaps I got at Home Goods. It was all in a bag so Shay didn't see what it was. The next day Shay called me angry, saying I know she doesn't support Amazon or anyone giving their money to Amazon. She said it's an inhumane company that exploits its workers, and she was disappointed in me and that I shouldn't have purchased anything at all. I apologized, but she seemed hurt, acting like I barely know her. I feel awful, but I thought gift cards were just like currency dressed up nowadays, and I couldn't afford some $300 gadget when I can barely afford to make myself 3 meals daily. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Call Shay, tell her that you've been thinking about it and didn't realize that Amazon exploited its workers. Then explain to her that you're in the position of the workers that she's trying to protect, the ones that live paycheck to paycheck and can't afford to survive on one job. Let her know that as your friend, you wish that she would apply the same expectations to herself and have affordable gifts for you to choose from, instead of putting you in the position of choosing and making a mistake. The reality is that being elitist isn't the way to help people like you, who she's trying so hard to fight for. You are the idiot. A baby registry is not a court summons. The friend wasn't that upset that OP went off the registry, and the friend was upset OP bought something from a company they're against. OP could have gotten other organic stuff or smaller wooden toys. The friend even said OP didn't have to get anything. OP could have given cash. Assuming OP knew or knows about the friend being against Amazon, it's similar to giving a vegan a gift card to a butcher shop or someone with a dairy allergy to an ice cream place. An organic stroller? I'm sorry, I just cannot get past this. If she was trying to be earth-friendly, she'd buy a used stroller if she bought one at all. You know, the reduce, reuse, recycle thing? I rage-baited myself into Googling organic strollers. This made me laugh hard, and I'm still trying to figure out whether it was meant to be snide or OP genuinely doesn't understand what the word organic means. Listen, you know she's into organics, holistic stuff, slow fashion, etc. Why in the world would you think she would shop at Amazon? It feels almost passive-aggressive of you. I'm not going to say you're the idiot because maybe you didn't think it through, but sometimes it's better not to gift anything than something that'll offend the other person. I, 22 female, met my cousin's 24 female husband, 26 male, last July for their wedding. They live several states away, so in addition to meeting him for the first time, it was also the first time I had seen my cousin in a few years. I instantly got a bad vibe from him, and he made several comments that rubbed me the wrong way. For example, he told me I seemed like a wild child and said he would bet that I was a bad girl at my college. Since meeting him, he's followed me on Instagram and sporadically sends me reels, which I don't open, and comments on odd things on my posts like, "Looking good, cousin." He even DM'd me once saying, "Hey, I'll be in your state this weekend on business, LOL," which I never opened either. All of this creeped me out, but I didn't feel like I could say anything about it because my cousin and I aren't close, and I've always felt like she looks down on me because she's a devout Christian, and I'm not. Fast forward to this week. One of those fake accounts on Instagram popped up with some of my pictures asking for money for X-rated pictures. The bio was in broken English. The pictures were poorly cropped screenshots of my 2 most recent posts, and the Cash App was a random string of numbers and letters. The account looked fake, and many of my friends sent it to me and reported it. Of course, the one person who fell for it was my cousin's husband. I then got a very long, nasty DM from my cousin telling me she had been very tolerant of my sinful lifestyle, whatever that means. But this time I had gone too far. She said she didn't care that we're family, and so long as I was posing a threat to her marriage, I was no longer welcome in their lives. I calmly and politely responded that this account was not me, and that I had already reported the account to Instagram to be taken down, and I apologized for the apparent disruption to her day. She responded that she didn't believe me and said she pitied me for having such low self-esteem and would keep me in her prayers. I lost it at this point. I called her stupid for falling for an account that was so obviously fake and said that her husband was such a blatant creep, it was embarrassing she even married him. I sent screenshots of the months of DMs from him that I never responded to and concluded by saying, "If your marriage is so easily threatened, get a divorce. Don't take your insecurities out on me." Shortly after, I got angry phone calls from my mom and my grandma saying my cousin made an honest mistake and that my response was cruel and unjustified. Apparently, my cousin showed everyone our messages and was humiliated by what I said. My mom is worried our relationship with that side of the family is permanently damaged, and now I may not be welcome at future family gatherings because my grandmama doesn't want the drama. I don't feel like my response was out of line, but since no one else agrees with me, I'm not sure. So, am I the idiot? Edit. Cousin is grandma's favorite because she goes to church with her and shares her beliefs. And no one is saying anything about how the husband tried to get pictures of you or wanted to hit you up? Not the idiot, and good riddance. Your cousin started the drama by being gullible and dumb and was a total idiot to you. She deserved to be called on it, and she'll be much better off knowing what her husband is. Exactly. She claimed that OP embarrassed her when she was the one to show all the messages to the rest of the family. She's embarrassed that she married such a loser of a husband and was trying to distract the attention onto anyone else. I would think OP would be glad she'd not be invited to any more family events from that side of the family. But he can't possibly be at fault or in the wrong because he's an honest, devout Christian man. He just succumbed to the evil temptations of women. But he's sorry and has asked for forgiveness, and that makes everything he did completely okay and justifiable. Not that little harlot of an OP. She dared to have social media accounts that were scammed. So, see, she's the real sinful, nasty one in this scenario because she must be casting a temptation spell over her poor cousin's husband's eyes. And that is the mentality behind the cousin and her husband sort of thinking. I'm at a loss because you're being blamed for your honesty here. And if your cousin was humiliated by what you said, why is she showing everyone the conversation? Tell your mom to stop worrying, since the drama came from someone who created a scam account, and that she needs to stand up for you. And there wasn't much you could do but combat lies with the truth. What else could you have done? It's not your obligation to take responsibility for a scam account or her husband's creepy behavior. Two years ago, my husband and I were renovating our house. I didn't want my wedding dress to get damaged or lost in the process. Considering we did lose a few things during the renovation, I was right to be concerned. My friend offered to keep it in her closet until the renovations were done. After we finished the renovations, I asked my friend for the dress back. She kept saying she'd get back to me. I kept asking, and she'd make up excuses. I found it weird. Now my sister's getting married and she wants to wear the dress. This was our mother's dress, and we always agreed we would each wear it. I told my friends I needed it back. She claimed she couldn't find it. I was perplexed because how does it just get up and walk away? She apologized and offered to pay me the cost of the dress, which I turned down because it wasn't about the money. The dress was sentimental, and I felt terrible my sister couldn't wear it. My friend and her husband went away. I was there to water their plants and feed their dogs. I decided to look for it myself. The closet was very cluttered. I eventually found the dress. I can totally believe that she missed where it was, and she wasn't malicious. The box was tucked behind a few larger ones containing seasonal clothes. I texted her, saying, "I found the dress." Instead of being happy for me, she asked why I rummaged through her closet, and I said I just wanted to double check. She told me I had no right to go through her things. I said that because of her clutter, my sister almost didn't get to wear the dress she always dreamed of. My friend told me I could have asked her to look again, but I pointed out it took 2 years for her to even look in the first place. Am I the idiot for going through my friend's closet to find my wedding dress? I would have just taken it and never told her. Let her think she lost her mind. She knew exactly where it was. She didn't want to return it to you for some reason. Good for you for finding it. You are not the idiot. Instead of being happy for me, she asked why I rummaged through her closet. LOL, so interesting that she knew exactly where you rummaged to find this lost dress. OP, I mean this in the nicest way, but you're being naive. She was trying to keep your dress. Simple as that. If all you had to do was go through that closet in her house, it wasn't lost or misplaced. It was exactly where she put it, and she knew that. This person isn't your friend. For real, it doesn't matter how big or cluttered the closet was. If I had something that belonged to my friend and was sentimental to their family, I would tear the closet apart to make it right. That's my responsibility for having my friend's valuable item among my messy crap. And I certainly wouldn't be asking that friend for favors, like watching my house, when I still owe her big time. Yep, I have ripped through 3 closets and a laundry room to find a pair of jeans. An irreplaceable wedding dress? You bet I would have found it. OP, you did lose a few things during the renovation. Was your friend overdoing the renovations? You might need a second chance to rummage at her home before she returns. You are the idiot. How many drawers, closets, and storage areas did you rummage through before checking the closet? I would have done it too to get my dress back, but it's an invasion of privacy, and I wouldn't expect someone to be happy that I went through their private things and, for all they know, pawed through their underwear. She was irresponsible, but that doesn't justify you going through her things. Long story short, regardless of whether you are the idiot or not, you're now known as the woman who roots through other people's belongings when they trust you. Months ago, my son found out that he has a preteen child. I was very suspicious because my son is very rich. And where was this kid until now? The ex-girlfriend is broke, and why didn't she say anything before? And the girl looks nothing like my son. Am I supposed to believe the ex had the child right when she needs money? So I asked my son to get a paternity test, just to be sure. All my kids, except for one, believed I was the bad guy, just because I was looking out for my son. My son, who loves kids, didn't want to do it, and was happy to have a child. After weeks of trying to convince him to get a test, he finally agreed, and it turned out that he is in fact her dad. I was very happy for him and thought all is well, since there's no harm in taking the test, and he finally knows for sure that he's the father. But ever since that test, he won't talk to me, claiming I traumatized my granddaughter by forcing her to go through that. He thinks I'm an idiot. Only one of my kids is on my side and thinks I did the right thing. Edit. He thinks it was traumatizing because I said it in front of his child and made her feel unwanted. He thinks I should have talked to him privately, and while I agree that I could have done better, I think it's ridiculous that he's holding a grudge over this. I know I could have handled it differently, but I don't feel it traumatized her. She's old enough to understand that. Good gracious, Mom. Did you forget your whole, "I will never accept her in my family if you don't take the test" speech that you said right in front of my child? He's not going to forgive you just because you were happy for him when the test came. A child isn't an object you can be cruel to and then expect all to be well afterwards. You are the idiot. Yeah, OP is the idiot. She told that in front of the child? This isn't exactly something a 10-year-old is just going to forget, no matter how warm and inviting Grammy is from here out. I think any kid would have trouble not seeing that as artificial and fake, given how they were previously treated. The son's daughter will always perceive any positive behavior from OP as a mask she wears from here out. I disagree. OP's not the idiot. He was blinded by his desire to have a child. You made sure he did the right thing and protected himself. He might be mad now, but it would have been way worse if he found out the kid is not his years from now. Your job as a parent is not always to be your child's friend. Sometimes you need to make them mad at you in order to protect them from themselves. You did good. Dude, OP's son isn't mad that she advised him to get a paternity test. He's mad that she demanded it loudly and explicitly in front of his child. She told them, "The girl looks nothing like my son." Gross. Whether the child is your granddaughter or not, you should be the one who pays her therapy bill for life. After all, you're the reason she'll need it. I, 29 male, hosted a pumpkin carving party for my friends and me this past weekend, and my decision is causing drama among us. The party was indoors, as it's still nearly 100 during the day where I'm at. I dislike cats and dogs, any and all. My friends know this. Primarily, I think they're filthy. I want nothing to do with them because of that. A buddy and his current fling, early relationship girlfriend, however you want to define it, showed up. She has a golden retriever with her. I didn't know this dog was coming. No one ran this by me. I would have said no. I pulled him aside and told him the dog had to go. He says if the dog has to go, she has to go, and then I have to go too. I just say, come on, man. You should know better than to bring a dog to my house. He said it was just a service animal, apparently for diabetes. He thought it would be different. I said no. It might medically help her, but it's still a darn animal. He starts arguing, but I maintain my stance. I offered to keep it in the garage with the AC on. He goes and talks to his girl and she looks annoyed. I felt bad about that. They opt to leave. He lets me know I'm an idiot. My friends were all split on how I handled it. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. I'm a service dog handler, and everyone handled the situation poorly. You are not in the wrong for not wanting a dog in your private dwelling. It's your right not to allow even a service dog in your private home. They should have asked you ahead of time about the dog, and you should have treated them with more empathy when telling them they had to leave, and also be more understanding that making a decision that's hurtful to others will have consequences. Hard disagree. How did OP put them in a crappy situation? The friend knew OP's opinion on animals and brought one anyway without a heads up. Normally, I don't understand how people can dislike animals, but it's their house, I guess. I truly don't understand. How do you expect accommodation from someone without even a conversation first? It's basically the same as asking someone in a wheelchair to leave it outside while they can come in. A service dog is similar to a piece of medical equipment. That's why it's still offensive. The dog is with her to detect blood sugar spikes. It can't do that if it's in the garage. OP was okay with endangering the dog and his friend's girlfriend. He's certainly within his rights to not allow the dog, but his friend is within his rights to move OP to his list of ex-friends. Not the idiot. The dog should have been discussed beforehand. Your house is not a public place, and you aren't legally required to allow her to bring her dog. My issue with their assuming the dog would be welcome in your home is that they completely disregarded you or any other potential host. What happens if they show up to someone's house who's extremely allergic or debilitatingly afraid of dogs? What if they bring the dog into someone's home and the host's own animals become stressed or even flee out of fear of the girlfriend's dog? I feel sorry for you and the girlfriend in this situation because your friend should have talked to you first, but instead created an uncomfortable situation for everybody. Context. We're from the UK. I am struggling to see why we're idiots, as deemed by my parents and sister. My husband, 42, and I, 40 female, have 2 daughters, Jane, 22, and Lisa, kindergartner. This concerns Jane, who's been struggling with the cold. Jane started complaining about the house's temperature now that it's no longer summertime. We leave the central heating off all the time, apart from in the early morning, 5 to 7 a.m., so Lisa doesn't get too cold when she's awake. My husband and I don't have an issue with the temperature of the house. It's approximately 16 degrees Celsius, 60 degrees Fahrenheit at night across all of the bedrooms, since we checked in case her room was draftier. We don't feel it and do not see where Jane is coming from. Jane complains and says she wears multiple layers to bed and around the house while we're all asleep. So she asked if she could have access to the thermostat to switch the heating on at a higher temperature than 18C 64F, what we set it at. She wants to raise it to 21C 69F, but we said no. She keeps complaining about wearing 4 layers to bed so she doesn't feel cold in the morning. Lisa said it wasn't cold when we asked her. My husband and I also don't feel the cold, so we said no to her asking and thought that would end it. It did not. We had dinner at my parents' house, in which Jane commented about how warm and toasty her grandparents' house was. My parents were shocked that we didn't allow her access to the thermostat, and they tried to sway us into giving her access because it wasn't right for her to sleep in multiple layers. My sister also agreed with them and said my daughter has valid points since the temperature starts dropping at night. Are we wrong here? I don't see the point in changing the temperature the time the central heating is on when 3 out of the 4 of us are happy with the current temperature. You are the idiot. Get the girl a personal space heater for her room, or a heated blanket or a heating pad. She's not making it up that she's cold. Who are you to tell someone that they're not cold or not hot? I understand not giving her control of the thermostat, but not making any accommodations for her so she isn't cold is where you're the idiot. Also, 16 degrees Celsius is freaking cold. Agreed. 16C 60F or even 18C 64F is too cold for most folks. Just because you're fine doesn't mean it's reasonable to expect her to be miserably freezing. I can see you not being interested in keeping the heat on consistently either, so that's also miserable for her. Why do you think she should suffer so you can save a few dollars on the power bill? Also, heating blankets, space heaters, etc. actually use more electricity than just keeping your house at a comfortable and consistent temperature. Expecting her to have 4+ layers to be moderately warm is unreasonable. Dude, why do you favor your youngest over your eldest? A kindergartner's not trustworthy when it comes to temperature. When my brother was that age, he had to be reminded to wear more than a shirt when it was snowing outside. Jane may also have low thyroid hormone, which can cause cold intolerance. You suck, and I would hate to be your daughter. How many other ways in life have you neglected her? My brother Jake has been with his wife Kate, now separated, since high school. They have 2 kids, both my godkids, and he and I are best friends. Our sister Claire's been friends with Kate since middle school. They were each other's maids of honor and are still very close. In the last 6 months, Jake confided in me that he fell for his coworker and let things slip into a physical affair. I encouraged him to tell Kate and be honest about it so as not to live a lie. He told her, and she was initially in denial and wanted to work through things, but Jake said he'd be lying to himself, and they're in the midst of divorce proceedings. He and the coworker are now in a relationship. When I met her, I'll admit it was weird seeing him with someone else, but they weirdly seemed like the most compatible couple I've ever met. They've way more in common than he ever did with Kate. They look at each other with such admiration, and despite how it started, I honestly think they could be together forever. I know I could be wrong there, but that's my hunch. So Jake and I are still really tight. We recently took our kids to a festival together this weekend, just me and my kids and him and his, no partners. We had a great time, and he was telling me how happy he's been, and the kids seem to be adjusting to it much better than expected. I know it's all a process, but I'm glad he's doing well, and I'm glad to have him in my life. Well, my sister Claire is angry that I'm still hanging out with Jake. She's saying how she can't believe that I dare to approve of him being with the mistress, and that I should be trying to convince him to try to work things out with Kate, who is apparently still hoping for that, or I should be no contact with him until he realizes how wrong he is and makes things up to her. Am I the idiot for staying tight with him, helping him financially until the divorce and child support situation is figured out, and supporting this new relationship that seems to make him happy? I feel bad for Kate and all, but I just feel like they're a case of people who got married too young, and now he's found someone who's a better fit for him. Edit. Regarding the child support, Kate makes about double him, and her job involves a ton of travel to where she's gone about 75% of the time. He's been the primary caretaker of the kids most of their lives. She doesn't want a new job post-divorce, so he'll continue to have primary custody. Of course, that means the other parent who makes more will pay child support. It's for the kids. He's not pursuing alimony for himself. Your brother was selfish and blew up his family in the worst way possible. That's going to have repercussions and fractures. You don't need to punish him, but it is kind of gross he's riding off into the sunset with his new side chick while his ex is deeply mourning. Don't condone it, but it's not your job to punish him. I'm going with not the idiot, but with some strong ick. The gross thing is trying to manipulate the brother into a loveless marriage. Their endgame isn't just to get him to break up with the mistress, but to take back his ex-wife. Why? Because it's convenient for her? He doesn't love her, and familial shaming won't fix that. He's not an idiot for leaving. He's just an idiot for not having the courage to do it sooner. And why on earth should OP take the ex's side? It's his brother. Of course he'll still have contact with him. People don't take marriage seriously anymore. Instead of working through things, for better or worse, he decides to cheat with another woman and then says how hard it's going to be going through a divorce. OP, your brother should never have married. He can't hold up to his vows, has no idea what marriage means, and is selfish. He leaves a trail of destruction behind him as he happily messes around with the woman he crushed his marriage over. I hope he doesn't try crawling back to his ex-wife when his new relationship falls apart. I hope he knows he completely obliterated any chance of reconciliation, and when he looks back, I hope realizing the pain he caused is enough for him to step up and be a worthy man. I'm hoping his soon-to-be ex-wife gets her happily ever after. She deserves it, and I'm sure his relationship with the affair partner will come tumbling down at some point.